Hello and welcome to a new video. Today, I'm going to show you how to create amazing graphs using Power BI. This is the main tool for creating dashboards and professional-looking charts. Compared to Microsoft Excel, this software can create amazing charts even if our dataset is very large, so it's ideal if we possess an extraordinary amount of data. The main advantage is that here, the charts are synchronized automatically, making it a faster way to create dashboards or generate interesting visualizations. There is another tool used for this purpose called Tableau, but in this course, we will cover only Power BI. Perfect! So, in order to use Power BI, we have to navigate to Google Chrome or the browser you are currently using and type Power BI Desktop. You will see a link from Microsoft, and we will click on it. This will take us to the page where we can download Power BI. If we scroll down, we can see that the Pro version is $10 per month, but don't worry because we will use the free version, and we can still create extraordinary charts. Next, we will scroll up and click the Download Now button. Here, we will click on Open Microsoft Store, and from this window, we will click the Get button. Now, I will skip the downloading process because it will take about 5 minutes. Perfect! So we can see that I have downloaded Power BI Desktop. Now, I will click on Open. After Power BI opens, I will click on Excel Workbook because I want to open our database. Then, select the Excel file that we will analyze and click Open. Now, we can see that a window has opened, and on the left, we can see all the different sheets from the Microsoft Excel file. To use this wisely, I will click on the sheet labeled Data because that sheet has every category labeled. Remember, if we use the default sheet, the graphs will display the category numbers or codings, which we don't want. After selecting Data, we can see a preview on the right side. However, the problem with this preview is that the headers are labeled as column 1, column 2, etc., and we don't want that. We want the first row, or the names of each column, to be the names of the variables. To modify this, we will click on the Transform Data button. From here, we will click on Use First Row as Headers and select the first option. Now we see that our headers have been modified, and they now contain the names of the variables. Next, we will click Close and Apply on the left side. Now, we can see the main window of Power BI. At the top, we can see different options in the main menu. In the center, we will see the tables of our data or the graphs we create, and on the right side, we can see 3 panels, Filters, Visualizations, where we can choose different graphs, and Fields, where we can see the names of our sheets from Microsoft Excel. We can see that Power BI has detected each variable. Let's select, for example, the first variable, which is AL1. On the left side, we can see that we just created a table showing each category of this variable. It's similar to a pivot table, right? I highly recommend navigating through the different options to see what each one does. Now, we will create our first chart. We will click on Visualizations, and from there, we will create our first pie chart. After selecting this type of chart, we need to choose a variable. For example, we will select HH Income by dragging it to the Legend and Values fields. You can see that the graph has just appeared on the screen. I will arrange it a bit. If you want to modify this chart, you can see some icons in the Visualizations tab. We will click on the one in the middle. Here, we have 4 different ways to modify the chart: Legend, Slices, Detail Labels, and Rotation. First, we will click on Detail Labels, where we can modify where the data labels should appear. I will select Prefer Outside. For the next option, I will select % of total, and I will also make the % labels bold. Next, we will navigate to Slices, where we can modify the colors of each slice. Now, let's click on Legend, where we can position the legend where we want, either in the center, on the left, on the right, or at the bottom. I think the best looking option is to keep it on the right. We can also change the title, font, and size of the text, but I will keep it as the default. Now, let's navigate to General. From here, we can modify the position of our graph and various other appearance options, but for this example, I will only modify the title. I will name it Pie Chart of Income, make it bold, and center it. Next, I will create a stacked column chart. I will choose the AL1 variable, which represents the frequency of alcohol consumption, and drag it into the x-axis and y-axis fields. For the legend field, we can drag the sex variable. Now, I will resize the graph and rename it. For a short exercise, I recommend you pause the video and try to rename it yourself. If you don't remember how, you can go back and see how I did it for the first graph. I'll give you 5 seconds to pause the video, and then I'll show you how to rename it. Perfect. I hope you managed it. If not, don't worry, I will show you now. First, we need to click on the middle icon in the Visualizations tab, then go to General, and under Title, we will modify the title to Column Chart of Alcohol Consumption by Gender. I will also make it bold. The next graph we will create is a donut chart. For this one, I will select the SK1 variable, which refers to the frequency of smoking, and I will drag this variable to the legend and values fields. Now, let's arrange this graph a bit and make the page look like a dashboard. Okay, perfect. Now let's format our chart. We will click on Detail Labels, and from here, I will choose to show just the % of the total. Now, I will show you one of the best features of Power BI, which consists of interactivity between charts. For example, if we click on the donut chart that we just created on the Not at All category, we can see that all the other charts update accordingly. In this way, we can view the statistics for the Not at All category of the SK1 variable. We can click on any category, so for example, let's click on the daily category, and once again, we can see all the other charts being modified. The same will happen if we click on the occasionally category. Now, think about how much time is being saved compared to Excel, where we would need to create a pivot table for each variable, then create a graph for each one, and finally copy them to another sheet to create the dashboard. Next, we need to rename the graph. We'll name it Donut Chart of Smoking and make the title bold. Now, let's create the last graph, which will be a tree map, using the variable HS1, which represents the perceived health of the respondents. This is one of my favorite graphs because it looks very interesting and is quite different compared to the others. As we did for the other graphs, we will rename this one to Tree Map of Perceived Health and make the title bold. So now, we have just created our first dashboard in Microsoft Power BI, an amazing tool for quickly and professionally creating charts. Of course, this software is more complex, and you can even write some code using the DAX language, but for now, this was just an introduction. For our project, I believe this is sufficient. We can see that if we click on different categories of the HS1 variable, all the other graphs update accordingly. This kind of dashboard can be very useful during presentations. Thank you for watching. I hope it wasn't too difficult, and remember, you can always rewatch the video if you think it would help you gain a better understanding. See you in the next video, where we will start the factorial analysis, a descriptive numerical method that allows us to see the relationships between the categories of the variables included in our study.